Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? If you're a woman, you're not alone. With over 1,000 hormone disruptors in our environment, it's no wonder things can feel out of balance. On top of that, natural changes like PMS, menopause, and other life stages can leave you feeling tired, irritable, and trapped in a constant battle with your body. But here's the good news. You don't have to suffer through it. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is here to help. This herbal formula fine-tunes your hormones, balancing estrogen, testosterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol, which can contribute to weight gain, racing thoughts, poor sleep, and more. With over 40,000 five-star reviews and a bottle selling every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. Ready to feel like yourself again? For a limited time, get 15% off your first order at happymammoth.com using code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
Coming up on episode 295 of Wheel Bearings, we've got the Cadillac CT4, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, the Ford Bronco Everglades, Toyota Highlander Hybrid, and Honda CR-V Hybrid, the MG Cyberster and VW ID7 and Lexus LM from the Shanghai Motor Show, update on clean vehicle credits, and curbside charging with Hyundai. All that and more coming up next. This is episode 295 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abuel-Samage from Guidehouse Insights.
And I am Nicole Wakelin from, let's throw it out I don't throw out very often, Car Talk.
Car Talk.
I've been writing for those guys.
Cool. And I am Roberto Baldwin from Motor One. Not
Excellent.
From Car Talk, but now I feel like I want to work at Car Talk.
Car Talk.
Well, I mean, we talk about cars right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically, we're a Car Talk on our own.
Yeah.
We don't need the Car Talk. Well, they might disagree.
We don't own the copyright or the trademark. We don't own that trademark.
Correct. We own none of that.
Yeah.
We do talk about cars on occasion.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what have you been driving, Robbie?
So I had a nice little economy car, the 2022 Ford Bronco Everglades.
Oh, super efficient car, man.
You mean the opposite of efficiency?
The opposite of efficiency. Okay, so my wife had a really we got in the car.
Did you go find a swamp to drive it in?
There's no swamps. The rain's all gone. I don't. It's got a winch on the front. I played with it for a grand total of 3 minutes in my driveway.
Did you winch anything?
There's nothing to winch. When am I going to winch? Did you
just find a random stick and winch it across your driveway just because you could?
Just like a tiny little stick.
Yeah, just tow it across. Just I winched this across the driveway.
I taped it to the hook. So
yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't fall off.
So we get in. I'm driving the car around, and my wife gets in the car, and she immediately says what I've been thinking for the past week: "This is too much." And that's and I'm like, okay, it is, because a lot of people are going to buy this, and you're never going to have to use a snorkel. You're probably never going to use the winch. Now, if you do buy this and you're going to be, fording through deep water and you're going to get stuck like Sam did that one time, then yeah, you're going to probably want to use the winch and you're going to use this. But it's so much, and it's just big, and I don't know. It's got 18 miles per gallon.
You're doing pretty good for a Bronco.
No. I got to 17.1. It was at 16.8. I got 17.1 because then I just started driving around in eco mode. Yeah, because I was hypermiling it. I was hypermiling the Bronco. And then we went to the store. We bought some things. We threw in the back of it. No mulch, just regular life stuff. And for what it is, great. It's awesome. You can take the top off, you can take the doors off, all these things. But I sort of agree with my wife. She's like, I wish it was just 25% smaller.
No, anybody who buying that wants it to be 25% bigger.
Exactly.
The person who's actually buying.
That's the thing, is that the U.S. market wants big cars, and here you go. It's big and does a lot of things you'll never actually do. That's the U.S. market. There's no hybrid. There's probably one on the horizon.
Are they really going to make a hybrid of that one though? Of the Everglades?
Not the Ever. Well, I mean, they're going to probably start making a hybrid.
I think at some point there will be a hybrid, just a hybrid option. I mean, that can go in any of the.
Oh, that can go in any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Anything except the Raptor.
Sense.
Raptor,
yeah, everything but the Raptor. Yeah,
hybrid
that one will be.
That just makes me laugh. Just think about that.
That one will just be like an EV, but it only has like 30 miles because they want to reduce weight. So, I like the Bronco for what it is. I can't, my wife asked if I feel guilty driving it. I do. I'm like, I kind of do.
Do you really feel guilty
it's
driving
so inefficient. I'm not doing anything with it. That's the thing, is if you're not doing the Bronco thing in it, then you're just driving a big inefficient box.
You're just burning fuel for the sake of it.
You're just burning fuel and you're just showing off for the neighbors. You're being
a poser.
Yeah, you're essentially a poser. And it's the Bronco, this new version of the Bronco hasn't been around long enough where people are grabbing ones that are 5 years old and stripping them and then making them into rock crawlers. It doesn't have that. It's not there yet. It's not like the Jeep world where there are people who are buying Jeeps and they're like, oh, I got a Jeep and I drive it around, it's nice. And then there are people who are like, I bought an old Jeep, I ripped absolutely everything off of it and then I rebuilt it, and now now I can climb over a house, a small house, but still I could just drive straight over a house. Yeah, I can still drive over a house.
Just don't go through a mud pit.
Just don't go through a mud pit. You need it. But you can get a plug-in hybrid Jeep. That's nice. So like most of that time when you're sort of posing, you can just cruise around. You're like, hey, I got my Jeep, but I'm also not getting 17.1 miles per gallon because Robbie put it in eco mode for a while.
But to be fair, if you did have a Pentastar Wrangler, that's about what you would be getting, about 17, maybe 18 miles per gallon if
Pretty
you're lucky.
much.
It's not any worse. And
no, that's the thing.
If you got the Wrangler 392, you might be lucky to break into the double digits.
Does that even get? I feel like that should get 0 miles per gallon. It gets half of 1 mile per gallon. That's it. That's all you get.
And that's the thing is that these cars are far more efficient than their predecessors. Like a good, just to show what we've done in the last, like, say 15, 20 years, my Jaguar. God damn, I hate that car. My V6 Jaguar gets the same mileage as a current Ford Expedition. So whether I'm driving my Jaguar sedan from 2004 or I'm driving a 2023 Ford Expedition, I'm getting the exact same mileage.
So to answer your question, the Wrangler 392, 13 city, 17 highway, 14 combined.
Okay, so it gets more than half of 1 mile per gallon. Okay, I was exaggerating.
There you go.
But it does make a fantastic sound.
Yeah. So anyway, it's got a 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. It doesn't have the bigger engine. It has 300 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. It did come in probably the best, just the spectacular green color. It is called Eruption Green.
Oh, I know exactly the color you're talking about. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful. It is beautiful.
It's really pretty.
When you get in the car, you're like, oh, there's all these buttons and stuff. It's like very like, oh, this is so much fun. And then you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything with it.
Yeah, this could be so cool. I'm not using any of this stuff.
Yeah, that's and it. I think on one hand, it's just very much this idea that like, here's this very capable vehicle that most people are not going to use this capabilities.
Do you think most people who buy that, like, because I know like tons of people buy Jeep, right? Like a Wrangler, and they never really Wrangler it. They just drive on the road. Do you think people who buy not the Bronco, but that Bronco,
the Everglades,
are not going to Everglade it? Like how?
I think maybe 20%. I'm being very, very, very nice.
Okay. I think
probably about right.
You think so? Even with that one, yeah.
I see a lot of raised Toyota pickups with snorkels on them.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you most of those. But then you look at the wheels that they're driving on. I'm like, unless they have other wheels at home that they're using, I've never seen. There's not a scratch. There's not a blemish. There's nothing on these trucks. And the Bronco that I have, because journalists have had it.
Oh, God.
it's got like blemishes and little scratches here and there, which is I'm like, okay, yeah, that's people have been doing the thing. But I did notice that no one has no one read the manual on the winch, so I'm like, I don't think, and the winch is like clean.
Was it,
like,
still shrink wrapped? The manual is shrink wrapped.
Yeah, so they had the little trigger was in the center console, so it looks like it's been used, but it feels pretty.
It's all a farce.
I feel like everyone's used it the same way I used it, or like I don't know, and then just retract it back in. You're like, all right, that works.
So, given that this is the Everglades trim, which is nominally meant for, kind of wetter off-roading, in swamps and things like that. Didn't you do the drive up north with that one? With the Everglades?
Did you do that one, Robbie?
I did not. I didn't do it.
I did. I Evergladed it, but not in the Everglades. But I did drive it as God intended.
In the Michigan version of the Everglades.
In the Michigan version of the Everglades, through the muck and the mud, and had enough water that we drove through. Is the first time ever. It was a really long stretch of.
That was the time they gave you guys hip waders, right?
They gave us hip waders. Like, no, you're probably going to need these. I'm like, really? But they had us drive through water that, honestly, have you ever been in a small boat and you can hear the water sort of lapping up against the sides of the hull? You could hear that, only it was the car. It's like, oh my God, this is freaking me out. So we did Evergladed, and it was very cool. And we winched a tree that did not need to be winched, but the men were like, we are going to winch this. I'm like, okay, gentlemen, have at it. I'm going to sit here in the car away from the mosquitoes the size of small, birds. You guys go ahead and winch that little tiny tree.
So if you live in, like my uncle used to have like a Jeep, and he drove that thing off-road all the time, and it had a winch, and it did all the off-road Jeepy things. He used it to go hunt wild boar with like a bow and arrow.
He did not. Are you making this up?
No, this is for real.
Robbie doesn't make up stuff like this.
I don't. Yeah, no. I just got a weird eclectic family with a lot.
I know, that's why I'm like, wait, this could be real. He's not just
no, this is real. So if you are looking for sort of a turnkey, I need to go drive through some mud and I need a winch and I do this is and that's your life. Totally get it.
So does the Everglades have mud terrain tires on it? Because the Bronco Raptor, when I drove that one, it had all terrain tires that were clearly not designed for mud environments. And so I'm curious if the Everglades has more mud oriented tires.
I'm looking at the Maserati. I don't think it says it does or doesn't, and I didn't.
See, now he did it to you. He asked you a question that you weren't quite ready. He normally does it to me, and I'm like, crud.
That's my role on this show.
It's like, dang it, Sam.
better. Yeah, they have mud. It has mud traction.
Okay.
They have mud tires on them. So
good.
So
that's obviously what you want, if you're
it has the bits. It's turnkey. If you're living that life, you live in Alaska and you have to drive through some craziness to get home, and only once, you only see other humans once a week, or if you live in, really parts of any other state, Alaska just sounds cool. And that's your lifestyle. Yeah, just totally a great vehicle. If you live in town, just get the regular Bronco. Because you're not using all these bits, and it's already the Bronco's already not doing great. So when it comes to efficiency, and I understand why it sells, and I understand what you want, because I really like it, but again, it comes down to now what? I'm not doing a lot of off-roading. I have to go 2 hours to do any fun off-roading for my house. Because we have a lot of protected things, and it's for humans to walk around, not just blah.
In California come crazing through in your Bronco Everglades. Get out of the way, people enjoying nature. Here I come.
So what we've done, we've set up these huge off-road places that you can go to, but I'm smack in the middle of where they all are. They're all 2 hours away from me. So anyway, the Bronco Everglades, if you're an truly outdoorsy, you're going to go out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to drive through a river or through a swamp, or you're really concerned. If you live in Miami, maybe this is a good car. Rising seas.
That's a good point. I'll have to try and get one and take it back to that off-road park and run it through a mud pit again. Because at least this one comes with a winch.
Yeah, it comes with a winch. So. You could take everything, and that's the thing is, I really you could take everything off. You can take the top off. You can take the doors off. Everything about this is awesome. But then it comes down to like the reality of being an adult. You're like, oh,
this is not responsible. Dang it.
Which is just anyway. So the one I drove, $56,835 with the destination delivery. What do you all think that was?
$1,695.
$1,600.
Oh man, it's $1,595. So I'm just seeing Nicole for the win. She went $5 over, but it's close enough.
I get that one. Give that one to me, please.
Yeah. You know what's cool is it has and there's Ford has been really good about their vehicles, just being like just clever for things that you actually might use. And one of the things I really liked is it has like when you open the little tailgate, there's a slide out tailgate. You can sit on it. Like it slides out from the car so you can sit there and you're not sitting in the car and sort of hunched over if you're tall because your head is hitting something. You can sit there and it's just all these like little smart little things that Ford has been putting on their vehicles. And but at the end of the day, I don't know, I just get a Maverick.
Get a Maverick. Is that your thing now? Get a Maverick.
It's just everything that people need.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
But this is this is a different beast. But yeah, if you're looking, if you live out if you're a swamp person, get the Everglades.
A swamp person.
I do. You know what I'm concerned about is the giant sticker on the side of it, because I had
Do you think it's gonna peel off?
Oh yeah, because I saw it peeling off on the Maverick I had a few weeks ago. Yeah, that sticker's gonna come right off.
Especially, I guess, if you're doing really aggressive stuff like going through the swamp and sticks and water and mud and muck.
Yeah, and if you're going through some of those narrower trails, where there's tree branches and stuff, it's gonna probably scrape that right off.
You know what I suggest if you're buying this is ask the dealer to take the sticker off.
Can they do
Just
that?
take it off.
Well, did you ask them to take
I think
that off?
those are usually an extra cost thing. So if you're gonna order it without that.
All right. It's huge. It's like a giant. It's not just this Everglades. It's like there's a little map and then there's a little Sasquatch on it.
It's all in.
just get that taken off unless you're gonna do it or wrap.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at a picture of the Everglades now. You talking about like right behind the front wheels?
Yes.
Oh,
you can't miss it.
Okay, that one I think is standard on the Everglades. So yeah.
See if they can get them to take that off for you.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
I feel like they have the tools to do that for you.
Oh my God, just get the green.
But why eruption green? I would get eruption molten lava red. Eruption green, it makes me think of a zit.
Oh yeah, maybe it's like trees are erupting because you're destroying them.
Why eruption green? I know, I just ruined the color. It's a fantastic color, but the name perplexes.
You know how they have the or I don't know if they still do, but they had the Wu-Tang Clan name generator.
What?
Okay, so Wu-Tang Clan, you know who Wu-Tang Clan is, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so they had the name generator, and apparently Daniel Glover, the Childish Gambino, he got Childish Gambino name from the Wu-Tang.
Is that where that came from?
Did he really? I didn't know that.
So that's what he says. So I think there's one for car makers when it comes to like a color generator. It's like a color and then like crazy adjective.
Because sometimes it feels that's all they do. Like
yeah. So they're using like the Wu-Tang Clan name generator
to come up with eruption green.
Yeah. Let me see if it's still available.
Now I got to play with that. Now I have something to kill time that I don't have to kill. I don't have the time to kill to play with that.
Oh, it's still, yeah. Bear 2. Woo me. Savage Paw. That's my Wu-Tang Clan name generator.
Savage Paw.
Yeah. Anyway, you go to wutangclan.net and then /name.
Okay, now I'm going to be
generator.
With this. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Savage Paw, which is perfect for the Everglades.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, I just went off the rails there.
That's okay. You can do that. I mean, everybody now listening is suddenly coming.
I apologize for
name generator.
They're like, it's a good car. I'm like, yeah, it's a good car, but...
All right, Nicole, what have you been driving?
Okay, I'm ready now. I had 2 cars this week because I was home for part of the week and I was in Wisconsin for part of the week. So I'll start with the one that I had at home, which was the Honda CR-V Hybrid, which is new this year. They made it better. And this is the first time I've driven it. I didn't get to drive this at the launch, so I was kind of glad to be able to have some time with this one. I like the old CRV. It wasn't like I hate you. Sometimes they do an all new and you think, oh God, the old one was so bad. Like the old HRV, bleh, it was really bad. So when they came out with a new one, it's like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus, for coming out with a better version of this car. The old CRV was pretty good to begin with. So coming out with a new one, it's not like it had to like scale this, scale out of the depths of crossoverness, but I like it. They made it a little bit bigger. So there's a little more room inside. There's a little more cargo room. It's got like some fresher styling. So it looks more in line with what Honda's doing these days. It's got a little bit more responsive powertrain than it had before. So it's a little bit more of everything. All the things are a little bit better than they were the last time around, which is good. I mean, that's a good way to move forward with the car that already was really solid to begin with. They used to, this is kind of a neat thing. So it used to be super confusing. Honda would break out. There was the Honda CRV, and then there was the Honda CRV Hybrid. And they had them like as two separate things, and it became confusing when you were looking at them. Like, wait, which one is the hybrid? And this one only comes with the gas engine. But it was very confusing. Now it's just Honda CRV, and you pick your powertrain, and you get a choice. It's
not a separate model anymore.
It's no longer a separate model. So you get your choice of two versions of this that come with the hybrid. There's the Sport and the Sport Touring. Sport is $34,000. I don't have Monroney, so I'm just pulling roughly. And the Sport Touring is $39,000. That's what I was driving. Gentlemen, destination. Take your guesses.
$11.95.
Ooh. $1.
Oh, Sam wins. It's $12.95.
Oh. Damn it! I should have said $11.96.
Yeah, you chose poorly. So it's pretty high destination, and the pricing, like 34 and 39, I feel like that's a pretty big difference. So if you're still looking for the hybrid version of the CRV, but you don't want to have to, you just don't want some of the bells and whistles, some of the extra pretty, just go for the Sport. You're still getting pretty much the same dealio as what you're getting with the Sport Touring. You're just getting you get a nicer interior and sort of trim upgrades. It does look really good. Like I think Honda did a really good job of making the interior it looks like a $39,000 car. Sometimes you look at these and you think that is not worth that much money. Why are we paying that much for that? Like this is not this one. You're like, oh no, wait, that tracks. That actually looks like it should be that. So, and it's super comfy. I mean, the seat's really comfy. Second row is really nice. There's plenty of room in the second row, even for tall folks. So you can easily get people comfortable. I don't know how often you'd want to put 3 people in that second row, because that would get kind of squishy, but it is still enough that you could do it if you were like doing a short hop. So for a family of 4, or someone who's just got like 2 people they're bringing along for the ride a lot, it's a great option. And it has plenty of power. It's got 204 horsepower. So it's got a decent amount of power for a crossover. This isn't a car to go and win races. This is, you're going with a hybrid. You're looking for fuel efficiency and versatility in a crossover. And I feel like this has it. I like this. And it gets EPA 40 miles per hour in city, 34 highway, 57 combined. That can't be right. 37 combined. Sorry, my math is wrong and my handwriting is sloppy. So 40 city, 34 highway, 37 combined. That's pretty good fuel economy. That's going to be decent. And it does have enough, like sometimes these crossovers, I feel like the second row, when you have people in the second row, you have nothing behind it. Like you have no room. You're lucky if you could put like one, like the kind of carry-on bag you'd stow in an overhead behind it. It just gets really, really tight. This, you could still have a full load of people and you have a decent amount of cargo room back there. You can easily put suitcases. You could put some, if you had kids and you're running away for a weekend adventure, going camping or something, there's enough room back there to make it actually usable. And I feel like that's important in a vehicle like this, because you're going back and forth between needing it to do cargo, needing it to do people, needing it to have some combination of the two. So I really like that. I think I like the CRV. I liked the old one, so I'm not surprised that I like the new one. I think my only complaint was that if you really, really mash the gas, it gets a little bit loud. It's like on the highway, it's like, I am doing my best. And it's a little noisy, but only if you're like really aggressively accelerating to get onto the highway, or if you're, trying to get around a slower moving car and you have to mash that gas pedal, it gets a little noisy. The rest of the time, smooth, well-mannered, quiet. The ride is even nice and smooth. So I think the CRV just continues to be the really good, solid crossover that it always has been.
You get in a CRV every once in a while. We rented a CRV, or they're like, "Hey, we're gonna bring your CRV this week," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know when I'm gonna." And you're just like, "All right, CRV's coming." You sort of forget about it. It's just the car. It's in the background, and then you get in, you're like, "Oh man, this is a really good car."
Right?
It's just solid. It does it. We owned a CRV for a little while, and we just did all the things we wanted with it, but then we had to sell it because we had that or the WRX, and come on.
WRX1. We had a CRV so long ago, it looked nothing like this when it still had the tire on the tailgate.
We had one of those.
That's like the first generation, I think.
And it had, I'm pretty sure, did it have the
Ours
table?
looked like a Panda.
Was that the one that had the table, or was that the Honda Element that had the table?
I think that was the
Element. Yeah, it had table. You take the table out of the back and you can
Did you have a table in the CRV?
Yeah, I had the table.
There was a little table in the CRV. That's how old the CRV we had. So it looks absolutely nothing like this. And every time my husband sees me, he's like, this isn't like mine. I'm like, yeah, because yours is probably in a junkyard somewhere. This is slightly newer.
No, it's not. It's a CRV.
I know. Realistically, someone's still driving it.
It could be rusted out. It could just be 4 wheels and a steering wheel and a motor, and it's still going.
There is one of those first generation CRVs here in my neighborhood.
Is there really?
And it looks like it probably should be retired, but it's still going.
Yeah,
they're never going to stop.
The front bumper's barely hanging on there.
Yeah, no, it'll. You know what's funny is we had our CRV. We had it for probably like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the day we were going to sell it, we were cleaning it out, that I found the little button to pop the hatch, the rear hatch, from the inside of the car. We were always looking for. Like, where is? I'm like, does it just not have it?
How does this work? This seems so strange.
I'm like, does it not have one? I'm like, all right, well, it just doesn't have one. That's fine, whatever. And then the day I'm like cleaning it up and stuff and making it nice for the next owner, and I found it. I'm like, yeah, I found the button. Well, goodbye, CRV. No, that was a great car.
You know what I found the day after, like not the day after, probably a year after I sold it. I had a Volkswagen Beetle, and my car key, it's that sort of chunky key where the little key flips out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I threw my car key on the coffee table one day, and a little tray on the coffee table, and it went under the little tray, and I didn't know it. And it wedged itself between the bottom of the tray and the leg perfectly. So it was completely hidden. I couldn't find my car key. I had no idea where it was. For like 3 years, I didn't know where that damn car key was. I finally went to move. And when I went to move, I lifted up the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, there's the car key.
Yeah. If you want to take a CRV to the track, you need that CRV hybrid racer that they built.
Oh yeah. It's just a good car. That's it. And yeah, I remember like hassling the Honda PR people about getting rid of the Fit, and they're like, the Fit does well, but look at the CRV. Look at the numbers.
Guys.
Like, we're just going to push everyone to that.
I have like 20 different people coming to my house for things, and for some of them I can ignore it, and some of them I can't, and I don't know who's coming when, because it's all that like, we're showing up today. Okay.
At some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just telling Robbie, if you want to win races with the CRV, I think the one you need is the CRV hybrid racer that Honda recently unveiled a couple of months ago, which is sort of vaguely shaped like a CRV, but it's a tube frame chassis underneath with an IndyCar engine, a Honda IndyCar engine in it. So it's like 750, 800 horsepower from this 2.2 liter twin turbo V6.
That'd be pretty cool.
This is if Group B was still a thing in 2023 and Honda was involved, this is the kind of thing that Honda would build as a Group B race car. But yeah, sadly, Group B no longer exists. That went away when a few too many people got killed.
Well, safety.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I have a whole other thing about, I guess someone died like years ago on the 24 Hours of Lemons. I think they had a heart attack. I don't remember how they died.
So
it might have been an accident, but someone was like, this is why they shouldn't have that race. I'm like, it's like one person. It's not really a race.
Yeah.
In racing, yeah.
It's a race.
In the loosest sense of the word, race.
Yeah, it's a race quotes. In the sense that people are like putting gluing things to their junk cars.
One of my favorites was the upside down Camaro. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
No,
I don't think I ever saw that.
Somebody took a fourth generation Camaro body and put it on a chassis upside down. I'll have to find it, and I'll put a link to it in the
show notes.
Yeah, in the show notes. How do you spell Camaro? CAMARO.
Oh, there we go.
Doesn't matter.
It's like, wait, these words are so tricky.
Yeah, this thing's pretty crazy looking. Here, I'm gonna drop it in the chat right now. All right. Anything else on the CRV?
That's all I got on the CRV. That's it.
Okay.
I liked the CRV, and I have I liked it.
You had something else that you drove too, though, right?
I did. So when I flew to Milwaukee to visit my daughter and buy her new appliances for her condo, that's mom life. I got the Toyota Highlander hybrid. So I went from a small hybrid to a bigger hybrid. Like you're the small family, you got the Honda CR-V, and then I feel like you get the slightly bigger family and you go for the Highlander. I like the Highlander. It looks really slick inside. I had the hybrid. Oh my God, was it the platinum trim, which is the fanciest of the trims. It was absolutely beautiful inside and so comfy. Also, the heated seats and the heated steering wheel in this thing heated up in roughly 2 seconds, which it was snowing on me in Wisconsin, and I appreciated the heated seats and the heated steering wheel. So it's very nice. And also it has a very roomy second row. So, we were with my daughter and her boyfriend. He's like 6'4" or something. He was sitting in the second row captain's chairs and that, and he was perfectly comfy. Like he had plenty of room. He was, he wasn't, because I look at him sometimes when we have these cars back there and he's all squished. He was not squished. And he was sitting behind my husband, who was 6'3". So 2 6-foot guys, one right behind the other. And there was still plenty of room. So it's very roomy. What is not roomy is that third row. I don't understand why it's there. It is, I climbed back there and I had to have my legs like sideways. I couldn't put my feet straight. Have you sat in the third row of the Highlander?
I have attempted to climb back there, yes, and you are absolutely correct. And this is why they're building the Grand Highlander.
Yeah. Did you sit? You did not sit back there, Robbie, did you?
No, I sort of just stopped trying to sit in the third row of cars unless I clearly will fit, because it's just me, like I'm potentially hurting myself to say exactly what I can just see with my eyeballs.
Yeah, it is. I looked at it and I'm like, I wonder if it's just like, is this an optical illusion? And I got back there and I thought, oh my gosh, no, I can't sit. I literally could not sit back there. My knees were jammed against the seats. My feet are sideways. And I thought, no, this is only a 3-row SUV if you have an emergency and you need to toss people in that third row, or you've got like little kids who are in car seats that are so little their feet don't even dangle over the edge. Because I think if your feet dangled off the edge of the car seat, even your toes would touch the back of the second row seats. It's really, yeah. So we got the Grand Highlander coming with good cause. So this is roomier. Like if you're looking for a 3-row because you just want extra room for the second row passengers and that third row in an emergency, this works. But if you're really looking for a usable 3-row, this does not. And it also makes the cargo area, when you have the third row up, the cargo area is super, super short. It's not even like a trunk. It's so tiny. So I feel like the third row is just a placeholder. Come back to this spot for the Grand Highlander. Like, I just don't feel like it works for the Highlander. That's my major criticism. Otherwise, it is really, it drives nicely. It has 243 horsepower from its little 2.4 liter 4-cylinder. It drives fine. It has plenty of power to get up to highway speeds. It's not super noisy. I felt like it was a little bit more mild-mannered, a little quieter than when I was driving the CR-V earlier. It's a nice, comfy, I want to say it should just be 2 rows. I don't feel like I should call it a 3-row SUV because you can't really use that.
People just want the third row. It's like people want the Bronco Everglades because they might have to use that third row. They might drive through a swamp.
You might just accidentally have to drive through a swamp.
You never know when your navigation system is going to give you the wrong directions, and you suddenly realize, oh, I'm in the middle of a swamp.
In the middle of a swamp.
And I have to pick up 2 more friends. Suddenly you have to pick up 2 more friends who live in the swamp.
So I really like this, but I just don't think, I think anybody buying it who really is using that third row all the time needs to reconsider. If you're only going to do it once in a while, that's totally fine. I mean, it has like this huge center console in front. So the storage is great. It has this nice little like accordion. It like slides back instead of like opening left or right or opening top. It like just goes, it's like a little door, then deploys. So, and it's very deep. So there's tons of cargo room. And I love it. Don't mock my noise. It's exactly what it would sound like if it was Star Trek.
That was a good sound.
Nobody's mocking.
I'm not mocking. I'm impressed.
Okay, thank you. Now then I'm okay with it. So where you have your Qi wireless charging, which is tucked right under like the infotainment screen, there's a little spot there and it slides right in. It's great because there's sort of like a curved edge to it. So your phone will not go shooting if you brake hard or if you take a corner hard. It stays tucked in right there. But they have another similar pod that's sort of for the passenger that's longer. It's like the size of that half of the dashboard for them to put their phone. So it's great. So if you have like little stuff you want to put there, you're not having to like jam things in the cup holder. Like if you want to toss your phone up there, your keys or whatever. I liked the little storage touches on the dashboard of this. I thought it was kind of neat. And pricing, do you know what it's priced at? Guess. I'm going to make you guess price and destination.
Combined or each one separately?
Each one. And this is the top one. I had the fancy platinum.
I'm going to say 49,000.
I'm going to say 56.
It is not your day, Robbie.
Man, I'm really blowing it.
It is 52, just about 52,000. Again, I didn't have a Monroney, so I'm rounding. What do you think the destination was?
1,200. I can go 1201 or go 1. And
1201.
There you go.
It's still really not your day, Sam. Sam wins again. It's 1335.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but you can. That's the mind you. This is the top of the whole.
Am I telling everybody how to beat me at this game?
I know. Go with this or this, and I lose. Okay.
I know the Price is Right rules. Been a long time, but I remember.
I remember the rules. So 52,000 starts at about 40K if you go with a lower trim level because there's more than one trim. So it's like again, you don't have to. This is $12,000 difference, but you're getting a lot of amenities. You're getting a nicer interior. It's comfier. It just feels more upscale. And it does have a pretty upscale look to it. I had that saddle brown leather, I want to call it, with like black accents. That always makes a car look sort of fancy to me. I think that's a really nice, elegant look for a car. So it's not it's not a super cheap car, but when you think about it, it was about 40 grand for the CRV hybrid, right? You move up to a 3-row and it's 52. It's bigger, even if you're not using the third row, it's still, you're getting a lot more car with this one. So yeah, so that's the Toyota Highlander, which was fantastic for driving all over the place. I drove the thing all over Hillendale in Milwaukee to buy appliances and take the kids out.
Did you load the
food.
Appliances in the back of the
I did not.
Highlander?
It's not quite that large, and I'm not quite that strong. So they'll be delivering those next Saturday.
You brought the 6'4" boyfriend along.
I know.
That was
I
his
could
job.
I could just make Reza shoved this into that car.
Put this stuff in there.
Put yourself to work. I did make him. I did put him to work doing a few things though. So yeah, I did make use of the fact that he was there. I didn't let him get away with just like hanging out and eating free food. I made him work a little bit.
Excellent. Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. Smartphones have gotten way more expensive over the past decade, and all it takes is one impact on a hard floor to make you wish you had spent a few bucks to put a case on it. Going online without ExpressVPN is like not having a case for your phone, and it only costs a few dollars a month. Nicole, Robbie, and I travel a lot for our work, and we spend a lot of time in hotels, coffee shops, airplanes, and of course the Delta Sky Club. Connecting to the Wi-Fi in any public places with shared Wi-Fi puts your data at risk because bad actors could be intercepting what you send and using it to steal from you. It only takes some cheap hardware to intercept Wi-Fi data, and even a smart preteen can do it. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per victim selling personal information on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops the bad guys by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. ExpressVPN uses state-of-the-art encryption that would take a supercomputer up to 1 billion years to crack. I have ExpressVPN on all my devices, including a MacBook Pro, Windows laptops and desktops, and Android and iOS phones and laptops, or tablets. When I want to be secure, I just launch the app, click once to connect, and my data is secure. As I said, I travel a lot for my work, and I have to connect to countless public Wi-Fi networks in many countries. I have ExpressVPN on all my connected devices so that whoever else is on the same network can't see any of my data. That's important because I often have to check banks, credit card accounts, and transmit client data that might be sensitive, as well as filing articles on news that might be under embargo. ExpressVPN protects all of it, and I've been paying for my own account for years. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/wheelbearings. That's expressvpn.com/wheelbearings, and you can get an extra 4 months for free. expressvpn.com/wheelbearings.
Between client meetings, managing your business, and everyday tasks, who has time to worry about website hosting? With Kinsta's managed WordPress hosting, you don't have to. They handle the technical stuff, delivering lightning-fast load times, enterprise-grade security, and 24/7 365 human-only support. Simply switching to Kinsta could make your site up to 200% faster. Kinsta's custom dashboard makes managing sites easy, with powerful features designed to save you time and effort. Plus, their free expert-led migrations ensure a smooth transition. Ready to see why Kinsta is trusted by thousands of businesses? Get your first month free at kinsta.com. That's KINSTA.com. Kinsta, simply better hosting.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? If you're a woman, you're not alone. With over 1,000 hormone disruptors in our environment, it's no wonder things can feel out of balance. On top of that, natural changes like PMS, menopause, and other life stages can leave you feeling tired, irritable, and trapped in a constant battle with your body. But here's the good news. You don't have to suffer through it. Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth is here to help. This herbal formula fine-tunes your hormones, balancing estrogen, testosterone, and even stress hormones like cortisol, which can contribute to weight gain, racing thoughts, poor sleep, and more. With over 40,000 five-star reviews and a bottle selling every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. Ready to feel like yourself again? For a limited time, get 15% off your first order at happymammoth.com using code NEXTCHAPTER at checkout. Visit happymammoth.com today and get your old self back naturally.
All right. Well, I had the Cadillac CT4 premium luxury all-wheel drive with Super Cruise. So this is the entry-level Cadillac sedan, the smaller Cadillac sedan, which I like. I like the size of it. The back seat, is a little on the tight side, especially mainly getting in and out. Once I'm in, I can fit behind myself, with adequate knee room. Headroom's a little tight. My head, but I'm a long torso, but so my head is just barely. My hair is just, or what's left of my hair is just barely touching the ceiling. But getting in and out of the back seat, you do have to duck down quite a bit because the way it's cut down there, the opening is a little small. So, but from the front seat, from the driver's seat, I really enjoyed driving this car. And I've previously driven the CT4V, which, not the black. I've driven the Blackwing, but before that, I had driven the CT4V, which has the same engine in here, which is the 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo that they originally designed for the Silverado and Sierra. It's the base engine in those trucks. So it's a fairly large 4-cylinder in terms of displacement. And in the V, which is it's supposed to be more of a performance-oriented model. I wasn't terribly impressed with it there. But in this one, this is the premium Lux. It's sporty, but not the sports performance model. I felt it was a better fit in this car than in the V. And the version that they put in the V is rated at 325 horsepower. If you get it in the premium Lux, which is what this one is, it's 310 horsepower, which is more than adequate. The base engine that's available in the CT4 is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo with 237 horsepower. So this definitely feels stronger. And the all-wheel drive is nice. If you live in cold weather environments, we didn't have any snow or anything while I had it. But it was, definitely it felt better. The engine seemed better suited to this trim level than to a V. So it's adequate performance, but not anything that's going to get you really excited. Now, one of the things that was interesting about this one, I had the CT4 right on the heels of having the Nissan Ariya, which we talked about last time. And I spent a bunch of time driving the Aria with ProPilot 2.0. And I also tried that when we were in California for the first drive. And ProPilot 2.0 is their hands-free version of ProPilot that for highway driving lets you go hands-free. And while ProPilot 2.0, I think if we brought back Kelly Funkhauser from Consumer Reports and had her retest that against the other ADAS systems that they tried out a few months ago, this one would probably score higher than it did before. It has a lot of the benefits that you get with the Ford Blue Cruise stuff, where it goes seamlessly between adaptive cruise control, hands-on lane centering, and hands-off lane centering. Super Cruise on this Cadillac does not do the hands-on lane centering. It goes from adaptive cruise to hands-off mode. In the hands-off mode, this was way better than than ProPilot 2.0. One of the things that I'd noticed when I was driving the Aria, I had a couple of days where I had to drive from my home in Ypsilanti to Dearborn in the early morning, like right around the time the sun was just up above the horizon a bit, around 8 a.m. And driving on I-94 eastbound directly into the sun. And the Aria, the ProPilot system, for its sensors, in addition to the 5 radar sensors, it's got a trifocal front camera system. So it doesn't use any side cameras as part of ProPilot. It only uses, there's a long range, wide angle, and an ultra wide angle camera in the front behind the windshield. GM for Super Cruise has a different arrangement. They have one forward facing camera, and then they use 2 side cameras under the mirrors that are looking down and looking for where the lane markings are. And this turns out to be a much more robust solution when you're in a lot of challenging lighting environments. Because when you're driving directly into the sun, if you're not wearing sunglasses, you're going to be squinting, the eyes shining, the sun shining into your eyes. The same thing is true for cameras, even more so. And with the Aria, I kept getting, when I was driving straight out the sun, I kept getting alerts coming up saying, low visibility, hands back on the wheel, because the cameras were basically blinded by the sun.
Yeah.
This was not the case with the Cadillac. I tried it, driving the same road, the same time of day, and it was much more robust, able to stay in hands-free mode and just drive right through it. Didn't care about the sun shining into the camera. And it also did, I thought, a better job of keeping the car centered in the lane compared to the Nissan, which did tend to wander a little bit more. So I think the hands-free mode in GM's hands-free mode in Super Cruise works better than the system on the Nissan. The other thing that GM has that Nissan doesn't have yet, Nissan has lane change assist, where basically it's using the radar sensors to detect if there's anybody beside you, and if there's not, it may suggest a lane change, but then you have to steer and do it manually to do the lane change. The Cadillac has automatic overtaking capability. The Cadillac has automatic overtaking capability, which when the lane is beside you is clear, and if you're following somebody who's going below your set speed, so if you've got your speed set at 70 and there's somebody going 65 or 60, and the adjacent lane is clear, it will say, going to do an automatic lane change, and you can cancel it by just tapping the turn signal stalk, or if you don't do it, it will just automatically change lanes for you. Does it smoothly? Does it reliably every time? If a car starts coming up, faster in the adjacent lane, it will pull back. It'll detect that, pulls back, into your original lane, and then waits until it's got enough clearance. So I think that the way that GM has, they've had enough time with Super Cruise to develop this to the point where it just works really, really well. Now, the argument that, Kelly from Consumer Reports made about, that lack of that in-between mode, is still a valid argument. But I think if you actually want to use hands-free mode, I think the GM system still works better than any of the others in that hands-free mode in terms of its ability to stay engaged, to give you alerts, for example, when it's detecting a construction zone, to do those automatic lane changes without any intervention if you don't want to. And it just works really well. So I really enjoyed driving this car. Let's see, the fuel economy, it's fine. It's not exceptional. It's rated at 21 city, 29 highway, 24 combined. I averaged right around 24 over the week that I drove the car, which is decent. The base price on the CT4 for model year 2023 is $38,995. All in with the options that this one had, including the Super Cruise 2 package, which includes Super Cruise, but also tap shift manual shifting control, climate package, technology package, steering wheel, leather wrap steering wheel, a whole bunch of other stuff. The Bose premium sound system, the built-in dash cam trigger video recorder, all in came to $53,230. Guesses on the destination charge?
I'm going to go first. I'm going with $995.
$996.
Robbie finally gets one.
$13.95. I'm a winner.
Woo! Go, Robbie.
So, if you're looking for, a relatively more compact premium sedan, I think that the CT4 is a really nice choice, especially, if you only occasionally need to carry, extra passengers in the rear seat. This is, comparable to a 3 Series or an Audi A4 or Mercedes C-Class in terms of size. And, it's very pleasant to drive, very nice driving dynamics. It handles Michigan roads without any issues. So I enjoyed it.
Cool.
All righty, let's move on to some of the news of the week. Last week we talked about some vehicles that were actually being revealed during the Shanghai Motor Show, and we recorded that before the media day at the Motor Show when everything was being revealed. But there's a couple of other interesting things that have since been revealed. One is a car that we're not going to get here in North America, unfortunately.
Why are there so many of those? There's so many of those cars we're not going to get here.
I know. Let's
just move.
Yeah, let's all move to China, right?
Well, maybe not China.
maybe not China. Okay, let's rethink this.
Although this one you probably will. I think you'll be able to get in Europe.
Yeah, it's in the UK.
Yeah, so this is the MG Cyberster, which is a little bit of an odd name. I think it's a portmanteau of cyber and roadster.
Cyberster.
Yeah, it's an electric 2-seat convertible. It's a little bigger than a Miata. Certainly bigger than the classic MG roadsters. But what do you think of this thing?
I think it looks really cute. I don't like the name. It
looks fantastic.
It's absolutely gorgeous, but Cyberster makes me think of like something to stir your coffee.
Yeah, it does sound like a Cyberster.
Like a little robot coffee stir. Yeah.
Just stirring.
But it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a fantastic design.
Look at that butt. The rear of that whole car looks gorgeous. I'm scrolling through the pictures. Good gravy. That's a sexy looking car.
Yeah. So I think, we might just have to move to the UK to get one of these.
That I do. Maybe not. China might be a step too far. The UK. Okay.
If I moved to the Republic of Ireland, I could buy this in Belfast and then drive back down to the Republic. I don't want to live in the UK either.
Okay, Robbie, there's only so many countries we can pick here.
Do we know it won't be sold in Ireland?
It just says UK. So,
well, I mean, this is from Autocar, which is, they're a UK publication.
They might just be responding to their it might mean that might not mean it excludes Ireland.
Cyberster.
See, is he thinking of a fast little stirring thing? It's really good.
Europe. Okay, I can go anywhere in Europe. All right.
Europe, there you go.
Okay.
So you're all good.
Yeah.
No worries.
So, I mean, obviously, this is, being electric, it's quite a bit heavier, than a classic MG. This is about the same size as a Porsche Boxster. The entry level model with 309 horsepower from a single motor. And the dual motor version has 536 horsepower. And weighs up to, in its heaviest form, 1,985 kilos, which is about 4,200 pounds. So it's kind of hefty. Yeah.
Batteries, man. Batteries.
Yeah. Batteries weigh a bunch. But I think it would be worth it.
You know what? If they did some good, all you really, I don't need a fancy infotainment. Hey, MG. No one cares about fancy entertainment systems anymore.
No one
Just
does.
stop it. Just stop it. Just do all that money you would spend on hiring people to make sure that, I don't know, some stupid feature in your infotainment system that no one will ever use works.
No one uses.
Spend that money on some chassis folks, and there you go. It doesn't need to be like crazy. It doesn't need to be, we know it's not going to be as nimble as the Miata. Just make it like 60%, 70% there.
I feel 60. If you can just get 60% of what Miata has.
Yeah, 60%. You got yourself a winner.
Yep, yeah, I would call it a win.
Just cruising around, not in the UK because it's cold and over. I'm moving.
Well, you just turn up the heater. Right? Although it's an EV, that's going to kill your range. So maybe not.
Does it have a heat pump?
It doesn't say.
Throw a heat pump in there. Just move to Italy or Portugal.
Yeah.
So is that where we need to be going? Would Italy be an acceptable place for us to relocate, Robbie?
Yeah, move to a peninsula on the southern part of the European continent. Either the Iberian Peninsula or Italy or maybe Greece.
Ooh, if you like crazy driving, Greece. Oh, man, they don't have laws. They have like suggestions. It's awesome.
All right. Next up, speaking of another vehicle that was shown in multiple locations. They did a global rollout, but really Shanghai was the highlight of this. That's what they're really focusing on, was the Volkswagen ID.7, which we saw in January in camouflaged form at CES. With this, kind of QR code, color changing camo surface on it. But now they've shown it in complete, unmolested form. And I was listening to Fast Women the other day, and why am I blanking on her name? Eileen was somewhat less than enthused about the design of this thing. But what do you think of the ID.7?
I don't hate the ID.7. I just feel like
that's a glowing endorsement.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. Like I know Eileen really didn't like it. I didn't feel as strongly. I don't like it, but I think that it just doesn't have. Does it have a super amount of personality to you? Do you look at it and go like, whoa, Volkswagen, cool car?
Well, I mean, the ID.4 doesn't have a lot of personality. All the personality they put into the ID Buzz.
Yes, and that's exactly what I said. Like the ID Buzz is like one of those like, ooh, right? This looks great. It looks fine. I have no issues with it, but it's just not a particularly like wowza kind of car. I don't know if it looks more wowza in person because I didn't see it in person. I don't know. Maybe it looks better when I don't know. I'm trying to cut it some slack.
If the Ioniq 6 is too crazy for you. The Ioniq 6 is too.
Okay.
That's too much.
Bring it back.
Too many pixels.
Too much. Then you get the ID.7. That's okay. I think that's where it sits.
It sits. It's the more mild mannered. It's like I don't want everybody to know I'm driving a fancy pants electric situation. I don't want anyone to know. I don't want it to look like new and of the future. I just want it to look like nice and of today.
Let's just say without driving it's better than the Passat.
It definitely has more character than a Passat.
Yes, and more character than a Passat. Done. Give you that. No,
and it's got that big rear hatch, which is great. To load stuff in the back there. You can drop the rear seats down. You can have tons of cargo space back there. It's not like trying to fit everything through the mail slot trunk of a modern sedan.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Yeah, and it's built on an upgraded version of the MEB platform. There's a bunch of updates to this, to make it more efficient. And unlike the MG Cyberster, this is going to be offered in North America. We're going to get this here next year.
Take that, Cyberster.
Yeah, it launches in China, I think, late this year, early 24, and then it'll be offered in Europe and North America in the second half of 2024. So if like me, you still prefer cars to crossovers, Volkswagen's going to have something for you. I mean, this is, I think, going to be at the top end of their range, so it's not going to be, probably this is not going to be competing with a Honda Accord in terms of price.
Did we see interior pictures of this?
Yeah.
Scrolling down, am I missing it? I'm not looking at the right. Oh, there we go. I was like not scrolling. My computer was not loading properly.
They still have the weird touch controls underneath.
Oh yeah.
System, which I'm like,
but it's a bigger display than what you get in the ID4.
I like the little ID perforated design there on the seats.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of slick.
Yeah.
I mean, the interior looks good.
Oh no.
I think the interior. What? No.
What?
Why?
There's only 2 buttons for the windows.
Is there really? I didn't see that.
Where are you?
If you look at one of the photos with the interior,
only 2 buttons for the window.
Of the steering wheel, and you download it and you make it big and you embiggen it.
Oh,
I am bigging it.
Volkswagen, what are you doing?
Come on, everyone just made fun of that for the last couple years,
and they did it again.
You're not saving any money on this, you know that, right?
Volkswagen.
All right, well, there's
that.
So.
Okay, I was trying to give him points because the interior looks sort of clean, and I like the big infotainment screen. Looks kind of good, and it. And I. Sigh.
You drove the ID Buzz in Europe, Robbie. Does it have multiple window switches?
It didn't. Okay, so I had the short wheelbase, so it didn't have windows in the back.
Okay.
So it does have windows you can roll down in the back. Or at least that version of the vehicle didn't have it. So I just figured, I'm like, well, everyone gave them enough, everyone got on their case about it, so they can't possibly put it on, another car. But I'm assuming that it's going to be on the ID Buzz as well, because if they put it on the ID7, and the ID Buzz is supposed to be, the long wheelbase version will be announced or shown off later this summer. Yeah.
Bummer.
Womp womp.
Wompity womp.
Maybe we'll just get used to it. Maybe it's because I'm definitely putting a deposit down on the ID Buzz. So.
Are you really? You're gonna get an ID Buzz?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna go for it.
I feel like
because by the time we get our Kona lease will be up. So.
I think the ID Buzz looks really cool.
Yeah,
I'm curious how many people. I'm curious. There's such enthusiasm for it, just in general. Everyone's like, "Woohoo!" The van is back. I wonder how much that's going to translate into people actually buying it. You know what I mean?
Is it going to be like a Snakes on the Plane situation where everyone was really excited about that movie and then no one went to see it?
Right, exactly. Because everyone they brought it back. We sold 2. Wait a minute, what happened?
We sold one to Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie bought one. I think it's really cool.
He immediately asked us to add 2 more switches to it.
We could only sell it to him if we agreed to modify the switches, so we did.
Yes. So
one last detail about the ID7 in Europe, it's projected to get a range of 435 miles on the WLTP cycle, which should work out to somewhere between 320, 330 probably on the EPA cycle, maybe a little bit more. Might get as much as 350. So pretty good range on this thing as well.
Yeah, no, it looks. I mean, it's got the range. It's got the sedan look. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, everyone's like, oh, we shouldn't make sedans anymore, and meanwhile, Tesla's just selling a ton of sedans. So I think there is I'm not going to say a backlash. I think some people are just like, you know what, I kind of want a sedan. I kind of don't need to be sitting this high, and sort of realizing they can get a little bit more range if they just get a sedan out of their EV.
The whole idea that sedans are entirely dead is not.
It's really weird because the Accord sells really well. The Camry,
people are like, oh, sedans are dead. They're all well, yeah, but other
Hyundai
things are coming in and they're really being introduced like crazy. But that doesn't mean they're not selling.
Right, and that's why VW is going to bring the ID7 to the US.
Yep.
I think it's good that they bring it. I'm just curious.
Meanwhile, Ford only has the Mustang.
Yeah.
I mean, if you went all in that way, like you're in trouble if the public changes its mind.
Yeah.
That's because now you're caught like trying to well, but yeah.
to go backwards and create something. It's like, well, wait, we made our plan and our plan didn't include this.
To be fair, Ford does have sedans still in other markets. They've got they've got a new Mondeo and a Lincoln Zephyr in China, and a Focus and stuff like that. So
I think Ford's doing okay. They got the F-150.
Yeah, I'm not worried that they're going to go out of business.
Everything else,
let me rephrase that. It's just like it would be a stinker, but they'll be fine.
You don't want to be caught flat-footed, but they can spin some up and ship them over if they need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, one last one from Shanghai, and because I put this in because I know that Nicole, you are such a fan of the Lexus spindle grille. It is your favorite design cue. I think this is the ultimate interpretation of the Lexus spindle grille.
Oh my God, my eyes are bleeding. Oh
on the Lexus LM.
What is happening there? Who thinks that is anything that any car should ever have? What is happening?
You know what it looks like? It looks a little like Bane from Batman.
A little.
Yeah, with his little...
This is OM. I'm here to save you from the upper class.
Oh my gosh. That is a lot of grill. No.
Look at the back of this thing. You're like, oh, this is pretty cool because it's like a little, like a fun.
I haven't even gotten the other
luxury
images.
van.
I'm so horrified by the front.
Then
the interior looks really good. Look at the inside.
The executive seating. This is based on the Toyota Alphard minivan
that's cool
from the Japanese market, and this one's primarily targeted at the Chinese market. For people that are going to be driven as opposed to those that are going to drive their vehicles. So this one that they showed in Shanghai, includes it's a 2-row. This is a mini minivan. So it's a 2-row minivan. But 2, very luxurious seats in the back. There's a partition.
They kind of look like Delta One seats.
Yeah.
Like that makes me think of the 2 seats.
You get the ottomans that pop up and everything. Yeah. And a giant screen in the partition between the front seats, between the driver's compartment and the passenger compartment. Big ultra wide screen display back there. So if you want to be driven around, this might not be a bad way to do it.
Just make sure that they pull up to get you before you walk out the door. So all you have to do is look at the side of the car. You don't want to see that coming up to meet you. You want it to already be there. Your driver needs to arrive, and then you will exit the building.
So you have to look at the front.
So you don't have to look at the front. Ugly grill. Come on, Lexus. That is not attractive.
So much grill. So much grill.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Let's go back to sedans for a minute because there's something I forgot to talk about earlier with what I drove this week. Because I finally got my opportunity to drive the Hyundai Ioniq 6.
Ooh.
They did a regional drive program here in Michigan and got to spend a few hours with the Ioniq 6. Man, I like that car.
It's good.
It's really a good car.
Yeah.
Good. Mm-hmm.
I drove both the Limited, which is the top end version with all wheel drive, and also the SE. They had one out of 10 vehicles. They had one SE rear wheel drive with the extended range battery. That's the version that will go 200 or 361 miles, according to EPA, on a charge. And when you get the single motor version, you're stuck with a mere 225 horsepower.
Miles.
I know. Unacceptable, right?
Unacceptable.
Garbage.
Whereas the all-wheel drive version, you get 320 horsepower. So it's the same motors that are used in the Ioniq 5. It's basically the same powertrain. They've done some tweaking to improve efficiency here and there, because the vehicle is much more aerodynamic than an Ioniq 5. That's partly why it gets better range. But to be honest, if I was spending my money on this, I would probably go with the rear wheel drive version with the single motor or with the big battery. They also offer a base standard range rear wheel drive with just a 53 kilowatt hour battery. And that one is rated at about 240 miles of range. But the SE with the extended SE rear drive with the extended range battery and the 18-inch wheels, 360 miles of range. It charges, 10 to 80% in 18 minutes, like all the other eGMP platform vehicles. I would go with the 18s living here in Michigan, because you get some extra sidewall, which makes it a little more compliant with Michigan roads, which shall we say are less than ideal pavement. We've talked previously about the couple of tire blowouts I've had in recent months on our roads here. So the 18s would definitely be a little more resilient to our roads here. And if you live somewhere like, say, New York State or a few other places that have barely functional roads, I would definitely recommend that. The limited on, but even the limited on the 20-inch wheels, which look great, it's still surprisingly compliant. It's got really good ride quality, better than the Ioniq 5, I think. So this is a car I could definitely live with.
I thought there was such a dramatic difference between the 5 and the 6. Like, they improved on it so much. Yeah. I was a little surprised, because it's not like, many, many years have gone by and we've, come up with iterations of this in between. It's like, wow, you just went from 5 to 6 and it got markedly better.
It's crazy. It's hard to like,
So so the Ioniq 6, I agree with both of you. This is a fantastic car, and if you are not one of those sheep that insists on driving a crossover, even if it's not really a crossover, or certainly not an SUV, just something that is, a hatchback with maybe a slightly taller roof, you really need to consider this vehicle. Now, if you have kids that are 6'3", you might want to maybe go with the Ioniq 5 instead, for the rear seat, extra headroom. But with this one, certainly in the front seat you got lots of room. There's lots of leg room in the back. The sloping roof line is going to cut off headroom a little bit, compared to the 5. But overall, this is a fantastic car. I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. That was like, the cars I've driven recently. It's like, well, that's at the top of my list. It's like just that good.
Yeah, it's bonkers how nice that car is.
And the SE starts at 45.5. The SE rear drive with the extended range battery, I think, goes for about 47. Now, unfortunately, you can't get the tax credits directly on this one, because for now, at least, these are still assembled in Korea. Yeah. But Hyundai has announced that for leasing, if you lease one of these, they are doing a pass through on the tax credits for the lease, so you can get the effective the lower monthly pricing or monthly payments if you do a lease on one of these. So you do get that benefit. All right. One other thing related to Hyundai, they started a pilot program in Brooklyn with a company called Itselectric, for some public charging infrastructure. And Itselectric has got an interesting approach to this problem, because this is something we've talked about before, is with with EVs. As we go forward and EVs start to get into the used car market, or people in places where you don't necessarily have a driveway for off-street parking, people are going to be more reliant on public charging infrastructure, and curbside charging would be really handy in a lot of places, especially places like, say, Brooklyn, or
Yep.
or a lot of other cities. And the problem, though, is with traditional chargers, the charging cable is permanently connected to the charger itself. And if you've got a charger that's mounted on the curb, there's a decent chance that somebody's going to unplug, and they're not going to hang it back up properly. It's going to be dangling. It's going to be sitting on the ground. It's going to get run over, or somebody's going to trip over it, going down the sidewalk. And so what Itselectric has come up with is an interesting solution And I think there's a couple of companies in Europe doing something along these lines.
In Norway, like everywhere you go, these types of chargers, it's bring your own cable.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own. Like they pull up, they open their trunk, they grab their cable out, they plug it into the charger, they plug it into their car.
It's completely different. There's a whole different attitude.
Yeah. So the driver, you get your own cable. When you sign up with Itselectric, they give you a cable, and you plug it into the charging pedestal. So there's just a pedestal there on the curb, and you plug it into your car and you charge. And the other thing is to get power for these things. Itselectric has a deal where they're going to work with property owners, with homeowners and businesses, where you're using their power from their location. So they're providing the electricity. And if you sign up, what they do is they come out, check out your location, see if it's viable to install there, and then they will take care of the installation of the charger. They'll cut a groove through the sidewalk, run the power lines into your building, hook up to your electrical panel. They'll take care of everything, so there's no upfront cost for the property owner. Once it's up and running, when people use it, the property owner gets paid for the electricity that gets used plus some margin on top of that. So you can make some money on this by providing electricity for these chargers. So I think it's a really interesting solution. What do you think?
Like if you have a building and you have like, let's say your building, it takes up like 8 parking spaces, it's on a corner, that's 8 incomes. That's 8 additional pieces of income that's coming in.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that could really work because there is a limited amount of, there's a limited amount of charging when you're just in a city with a sidewalk. It's not like when you're at a rest stop or you're someplace where there's a giant parking lot. If you got cities with sidewalks, you're really limited. This would make things make it much more usable, much more friendly for EV drivers.
Yeah, my only concern with it is the business model from Itselectric's perspective. Whether there's going to be a pretty substantial upfront cost for them, installing these things, and how much are they going to have to charge for electricity for this to be profitable for them? And then at that point, how much money are EV owners actually going to save doing this? So it's not quite clear how that's going to play out.
Yeah, that'll play into, but I feel like if you're just in a situation though where you need charging, there's a point where you're not balking at that little extra cost of the electricity itself. If it makes it easier for you to get through your day, you might be worth it.
So a quick Google search, like in New York in 2022, in December 2020, the average house cost was 23.1 cents per kilowatt hour, which is less than what you're paying if you go to Electrify America station. It's like 36 cents.
But this is going to be level 2 charging. It's not going to be DC fast charging.
Yeah, but you're still, even if you're charging, if you're charging 30 cents an hour and you split that between 2 people, or even 36 cents an hour, it's still, you're still making money.
But there's a possibility though, Sam, you're right. Depending on how this works out for them in terms of how many people utilize it and how expensive it actually is for them to get this system in place, all the best intentions might go out the window if suddenly they have to charge way too, if it becomes prohibitive to the point where people who start to know the area say, well, let's not go there unless we have to. Let's go to these other guys. You'll start to pick and choose like you do with a gas station. It's 5 cents cheaper over on the corner. Let's go around the corner, Yeah.
I think what's going to happen though is it's going to be like where, Electrify America is like, well, I need a charge. If you have a house and you're like, I don't feel it, I kind of need it now. Do you want to go sit at Electrify America for a few hours, or do you want to, just pull out in front of your house and pay pretty much the same amount?
Yeah.
And, if it's close to your house, then, and especially even if it's right in front of your house, if you're using a charger from your own, using your own electricity for this, at least the part of the profit margin, it's, the markup on the electricity rate, is going to be coming back to you, plus you're just going to be paying, whatever amount that Itselectric is taking.
Base rate.
Right.
And you don't have to pay for that infrastructure installation. And then when you're not using it, when you're not there, somebody else can be using it.
Oh yeah. That's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah. That could work out.
But like I said, my main concern is just, whether there's going to be enough margin in there for Itselectric to actually become profitable
to survive
after they cover their, the costs of, the hardware installation.
Are they, well, it doesn't say. I was going to say that they doing like where you can get like pay $4, get, a month, get paid, pay a little less. But
they're not, right now, this is still their first pilot program. So it's a little unclear, how that's going to play out. I think when I reached out to them, they're still working on that, working out the details on kind of what the pricing is going to be.
Even if they charge 50 cents and the gas is $5 a gallon, it's still cheaper than gas. It's still cheaper than gas.
Oh yeah, it's going to be cheaper than gas, but is it the cheapest electricity you can buy though?
That's the thing. That's what we're going to be doing in the futures, using those apps. Like, where's the cheapest gas?
Where's the cheapest one? Yep.
Where's my cheapest electricities?
All right. Let's see. Last thing is the clean vehicle credits for EVs. Last week, after we recorded, a day or two after we recorded, EPA published the updated list of the vehicles that would be eligible for tax credits based on the submissions from automakers, with the accounting for where the value in the batteries was coming from, and the list of vehicles that were eligible for tax credits got considerably shorter, although it did grow by one vehicle the day after they published the original list, because it turns out that VW had not gotten their information into the Treasury Department in time. And so the original list did not include the VW ID4, which is now built in Tennessee, and has a battery that's sourced from SK in Georgia. They got their documentation in a day or two later. EPA updated the list. And it's available now. I'll include a link in the show notes, but you can see the list of all the vehicles and what tax credits they're eligible for. GM did well on this. They've got a whole bunch of vehicles that are eligible for $7,500 tax credit, assuming you can actually get these vehicles.
Right.
Like they got
Cadillac Lyriq.
Good luck.
Some aren't in production yet, like the Chevy Blazer and the Equinox EVs and the Silverado. But the Bolt and the Bolt EUV, both eligible for the full 7,500, as well as the Lyriq. There's the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, also available for 7,500 off. Ford currently, they've got a few that like the E-Transit and the Mach-E that are eligible for 3,750. The Lightnings right now are eligible for 7,500 as long as you get it for under $80,000 sticker price. And there's only a couple of Lightning variants that actually fall under that price tag at this point.
Yeah, you're limited in what actually applies.
And the Pro, the work truck version is one of those, but the standard range Lightnings, which currently are eligible, those are going to be getting a CATL battery early next year, as is the standard range Mach-E, and those will no longer be eligible once they start using that Chinese made battery. So I'll include the full list. Similar things here with Rivian. Rivian R1S and R1T, they're eligible for 3,750. But again, it's only if you can get them for under $80,000, and there's only a couple of variants. So basically you've got to take a base model with almost no options on it to get it under 80 grand. And most of those aren't actually even available. They're not in production yet, like the dual motor versions.
Like, I wonder, looking at this list, how many of these cars can you actually get right now? Like, is it half of them?
The ID4, the Bolt, the Teslas, Mach-E. You can get the Lincoln Aviator and Corsair Grand Touring plug-in hybrids.
Okay, so there's a chunk that you can get.
The Wrangler and the Cherokee plug-in hybrids. You can get
Pacifica?
Those. Yeah.
Can you really get them? Are they out there in any volume?
The Jeeps are.
The Jeeps are.
The Fords are available.
Are they?
Yeah. I was actually talking to a neighbor the other day that is looking to he's trading in a couple of vehicles for his wife and his mother-in-law. And he was at a Cadillac dealership last week and said they had 2 Lyrics in the showroom.
What?
Really? Those were already spoken for. They had customers that were waiting for pickup. But yeah, they actually had 2 Lyrics there. And then let's see, the Lincolns you can certainly get. But probably the best bet's going to be the Bolt and the ID4 as far as getting tax credits.
Actually,
on those.
getting one, yeah.
So, all right. So last couple of things. We had an email from Bruce Ginsburg, and I think I'm actually going to hold off on answering this. This actually has to do with the Lyric. Bruce had ordered a Lyric, and he's getting a little frustrated. And I reached out to Cadillac to find out what's going on. I passed along the question, and as we've been recording, I actually got an email back from somebody, from Mike Albano, and he said tomorrow, as we're recording this on Monday, tomorrow is GM's Q1 earnings call, and they will have a Lyric production update during that call. So he said, if we can hold off, so we'll come back to Bruce's question next week, hopefully with a good answer for him. But that's
sorry, Bruce.
Questions for this week. I did get a chance to go over to Maserati's North American headquarters in Auburn Hills last week, which was formerly the home of the Chrysler Museum, which is too bad that's gone, because that was a nice place. I like the collection they had there. But anyway, I had a chance to sit down with Bill Peffer, who is the head of Maserati Americas. Chatted with him for about 25 minutes about what Maserati's doing, where the brand is, the progress they've made in the last few years, and where they're going, and some good information about what's coming up with their first 2 electric models launching later this year, the Gran Turismo Folgari and the Grille Folgari, which is the name they're using for their EVs. We talked about how the battery and everything's configured in the Gran Turismo. Some interesting stuff there. So have a listen to that after we say goodbye. And I think you'll get some interesting stuff out of that. And next week I will have some thoughts on actually driving the Maserati Grille, which
you're so fancy, Sam.
I know,
fancy Sam.
All the fancy Sam. Yeah, that's what I call you, Fancy Sam.
Yeah, but you guys get to drive Mercedes, and I can't get my hands on a Mercedes. So,
sorry.
Well, sorry.
I drove an Everglades,
which is not fancy. Well, fancy, but in a totally different way.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for this week. The Bill Peffer interview is coming up right after this. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, Bill. So you've been head of Maserati North America for a couple of years now. I guess first, what are your overall thoughts on the brand and kind of where it is today and where you want to see it going in the coming years?
Well, I've been head of Maserati Americas now for about 2.5 years, and we have made a pretty dramatic transformation, stabilizing the company first and preparing the company for the all-new portfolio of products which are arriving in the showrooms now. So we have an all-new showroom, and that's pretty exciting. Of course, the momentum we have high expectations for, and we want to continue to grow. But we want to grow not by the sole KPI of volume. We want to grow with how the brand is perceived and how we live up to the luxury aspect of what Maserati stands for.
So, Maserati, obviously the brand that's been around for a long time.
109 years.
For many years, particularly here in North America, it didn't exactly have the most sterling reputation. And, do you feel like, you mentioned, the brand is stabilizing. Do you feel like it has, like you've gotten it to a good place, do to the degree that today there's even much awareness among people of Maserati in North America. How do you see how does the consumer feel about the Maserati brand today?
Well, look, we're a 109-year-old brand. Yeah. Our efforts in the area of customer experience have yielded the highest net promoter scores last year in the sales and after-sales side that this brand's ever seen in the U.S. We have a lot of momentum right now. We're on a journey. I don't think the transformation is complete. We're a luxury brand. We are not for everyone, and we operate on three pillars. The three pillars that Maserati operate on are performance, are the craftsmanship and Italian design that people appreciate who pursue our products, and finally, there's an exclusivity element. It's not on every street corner. And I think that's important. So that does provide some challenges to make sure that you're top of mind when people are considering a product. We're not in every segment. The products that we have brought out and the ones you saw out there, particularly the Grecale, operate in a huge segment, provide huge opportunity. 1 in 3 cars in the luxury space is sold within that D segment SUV. So in our transformation, we've moved from what had traditionally in the modern era been a sedan-based company to one now that is focused on SUVs and supercars. The second SUV, the Grecale, and I think I've said this before, it unlocks our it adds our it helps us pursue Maserati as a purveyor of luxury performance SUVs. We're not, in the past, we've not been known for SUVs. We've been known for performance cars, Grand Tours. At the same time, we have introduced Halo and then returned icon products like the MC20 last year, which is a technical tour de force. What it does, the technology from that car, style, design elements of that car have made their way in the rest of the lineup. And then, of course, this year we brought back the Gran Turismo, which has lived in the Maserati brand in some form or iteration since 1947. So we're celebrating actually the 75th anniversary of the Gran Turismo. And we like to think of all of our vehicles as Gran Turismo. If you want a car, that is at the pinnacle of performance, 2-seat, that's the MC20. If you want a car that, provides comfort for long rides, for 4 adults, that's the Gran Turismo. If you want a Grand Tourer that provides a little more versatility, right, and a different driving position, that's the Grecale. And the commonality of those vehicles, all the technology, right, the Nettuno engine, the infotainment, the styling cues, all play off of each other and really provide a different showroom from what we were. I mean, we went to a dealer meeting. We had a dealer meeting with our network partners in North America and Latin America, 138 retailers that we have between Canada, U.S., and Latin America. And it was a pretty powerful moment because we had on the screen, hey, this is what we were selling, the 3 vehicles, the core models, 12 months ago. Now look at what we're selling, and boom, a whole new lineup. And that's rare. Most brands don't go through that at the same pace that we've gone through. They don't go through, especially our size. They don't do
right,
that.
Especially for with very much a more niche brand.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So what are the things? You obviously made a lot of progress. What are the things that you still feel like that Maserati needs to do to continue along this path, and grow, become a stronger brand?
I think that our strength, our continued strength, is embedded in our consistency and our approach to the market. Right? We sell our product through a network of dealers. The network is our partner. Right? They are our partner, and so striving for opportunities to capitalize on this new showroom that provides a good return on investment for us and for our network. And if we get that, then the network will make more investment in the brand, right? It's a virtuous circle. If we don't get that, then it's a difficult proposition. Most of our stores, because of our size, right now are dualed with other brands. Most of our partners have other brands. And they're business people, right? They're going to make investments where they get the best return. So our job is to make sure that we continually lay out a proposition that provides a good return for them. That's the name. And then we get the investment from them.
When, for the dealers that are dualed with other brands, presumably it's not, or I guess, is it other Stellantis brands or brands from competitors?
Both. Both. Yeah. I mean, it's a suite of different brands that maybe we are in several locations tied with Alfa Romeo in the same showroom, Ferrari. They have been part of the portfolio in the past. I mean, but also some competitive brands as well that are outside the Stellantis portfolio.
So you mentioned, with the new vehicles, the new Nettuno engine, which has been getting some very good feedback. Do you see that? Is that likely to be the last new internal combustion engine in a Maserati, or will you continue to maybe develop other engines or at least other variants of that?
Well, we are developing other variants of it, right? We have, we've demonstrated that as we brought the new products out in the showroom. We have variants like in the GT that start around, high fours, 483, I think, horsepower to start off in the Modena. And then we just introduced and sold out very quickly of a very exclusive P24 variant of the MC20. And that car has a Nettuno tuned engine that's north of 700 horsepower. So very flexible powertrain. I would say that we are among the few OEMs making dual investments. A lot of other OEMs have said, hey, we're going to go one way or another way. And they have stopped that. We're unique in that, especially for our size, we've made investments in internal combustion with the Nettuno engine that is the first engine that was developed exclusively by and for Maserati. And we're also making big investments in electrification, right? This new showroom of Gran Turismo, Grecale, and MC20, we've committed to full battery electric, not hybrid versions. We have a mild hybrid version of the Grecale with the 4-cylinder and the GT and the Modena. But we've made commitments, and those cars are here. They're not years off. 90 days behind the launch of the Gran Turismo in the spring will be the full battery electric version. And it's not what's interesting is, what's amazing is that the platforms for these vehicles have been developed so they can accept varying powertrains. In the case of the Gran Turismo, they package the batteries in a T format to allow for a better balance, better weight distribution. You sit around the battery as opposed to on top of the battery, like some of our competitors. And so it was designed from inception to accept this. And it really provides, the ride height is indistinguishable from a gas-powered car. I think it's 3 millimeters higher. The car is like 53 inches tall. You can't tell, right, between it. But that's amazing because two very distinct power sources. And I think that's important because we've reached a tipping point. The investments made by the industry in electrification are material and moving in a direction of, one way. So the fact that we're there and we can arbitrage a bit and see where the adoption rate is and do that even despite our size, our relatively small size, it is a benefit of being part of a 14 brand company called Stellantis, right, where we sit at a certain place as the only global luxury brand within that portfolio, truly global luxury. We do business, we sell cars and, homologate cars in 77 different countries. And they are not regionally designed and produced product. They're all built in Italy and they're all built for all of those markets. The strength of the brand allows us to do that. So you mentioned that in years past, the perception of customers maybe have been not where we wanted it. And I think that's fair, but I would say also that this brand is 109 years old, and I've never been somewhere where I mention Maserati and there's not a positive affinity. I think we have a story to tell, right? Because people who think they know Maserati don't necessarily because of all the changes we've made, right? Prior to this product transformation, which we have prepared for and now in the middle of, it had been several years between the launch of Levante and today, where there were all new products that were delivered to the brand. So investments were made years ago, and now we're the beneficiary of those investments, moving where the market is, moving where the industry is moving. In the U.S., it's interesting to me that initially the mass market was moving aggressively to SUV and now is 80% SUV. The luxury space has also followed that. So the fact that we were able to shift with the product we had and then amplify that with a second product has helped us grow. Generate more revenue, more profitability for us and for our dealers.
One of, driving high performance Italian cars, one of the great things about it is the visceral experience of the sound, especially of the engines. You drive something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or the Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio or the Gran Turismo. I remember driving the previous generation Gran Turismo, and the sound of that V8 engine was just magnificent. What's been the reaction of Maserati customers to the shift towards electrification? And now all of a sudden a major component of that driving experience kind of goes away.
Well, we're bringing out our first electric vehicle in the Gran Turismo, so they're not into the marketplace yet. For the people who want that sound, there's a gas version. But I would also ask you to drive the Folgore version and then give an opinion of that, because you'd be surprised. I was surprised when I drove it with the overall experience on how they were able to maintain that aspect, that USP of what a Maserati stands for, the exhaust note, the audacity, the performance element. The Folgore version of the GT has a 0 to 60 time in 2.6 seconds. I mean, it sits at the pinnacle of our performance of any GT, of any vehicle right now that we have out in the marketplace. It bests the MC20 in the Folgore version. And there's an electric version of that coming. But I think, again, the investment in true technologies allows you to kind of, hedge and play both sides, right? What's interesting to me is the industry, when we look at our segments we compete in the segments that we are going to compete in, there's growth, but the growth is exclusively coming from the electric component, right? So last year we grew our addressable market share. And when I say addressable market share, we took out the electrics, the full battery electrics that were in those segments, because we don't have a product to compete yet. When we take out the battery electrics and we look just at the gas-powered engines in the segments we competed, we grew share. But the size of those segments were down about 10%. The growth all came from the electrification side. So somebody out there must be, appreciative of they are. I mean, they're demonstrating with their dollars, and that's the growth, right? And it's coming from a lot of very good competition, right? So I think the customers are voting with their dollars on where they're going to put them.
Okay. On the ICE side, some other European premium brands have been talking a lot about e-fuels, synthetic fuels that could be potential drop-in replacements for fossil fuel petroleum. Does Stellantis or Maserati see that as something that is likely to be a significant part of the market going forward?
I don't know. We can't comment on that. I'm not privy to looking at a long-range product plan and saying, what's the propulsion source. I know other brands have looked at that or are looking at that. Our investment has been, bifurcated, right? We're going to continue with a gas engine for the near term, and we're going to introduce this battery electric technology and see which one of those solutions. I mean, gas being gasoline, not biofuel. Right. So I can't provide you an opinion on it.
Okay. one of the things that helped the Maserati brand become prominent in the first place, going back to its early days, was motorsports.
Yes.
And in recent years, Maserati's been kind of growing its presence in the motorsports area again, with the Formula E program this year, the MC20 GT2 car. How big do you see motorsports, or how important do you see motorsports being for Maserati going forward?
Great question, and good segue, because Maserati has been synonymous with racing. It's part of our heritage, going back 100 years. We recognize that. That is a way to improve our awareness, improve our consideration. It also acts as a platform, in the case of Formula E, for technology that we're putting on the track and how we then translate that to the consumer, right, in our evolution of powertrain sources. So we did get back into Formula E this year in a big way. In Europe, they have gotten back into GT2. As you know, the circuits are in Europe. They're not here in the U.S. We do have variants that will pay homage to that of the MC20, and that's part of our commitment with the life cycle of MC20 to continue to bring out product events that are bespoke, that are specific, that add to the attraction to the brand. So it's a very important piece.
With the ACO and Le Mans switching from the GTE platform for GT cars next year to a GT3-based formula, Maserati's don't currently have a GT3 car. Stellantis doesn't have anything with other brands in GT3. You've got Peugeot's in the hypercar class.
Yep.
Do you see a space potentially for Maserati to extend into GT3, maybe enter GT3?
I mean, it would be cool. I don't have any insight on that. I watched the hypercar race this weekend in Portugal. Look, it would be cool, right? That's all I can say. It would be neat to do something like that. But I mean, racing takes money, and we have to stay focused. We have to keep in mind too the size of our brand. So we are a small brand, sits at the top of the pinnacle of the Stellantis portfolio, and we have to invest our resources wisely, right? Our objective is to reach a targeted audience of people who buy our cars on emotion, right? And we have to be really targeted in doing that, right? Because we don't have an endless supply of resource. The more effective we're able to do that, the more effective we're able to capture those customers and win them over with this new product, the more natural and more the faster our trajectory will be with the momentum we have. We have a lot of momentum right now. We are not through the journey right now. We have a lot more opportunity, particularly with what's come out.
Okay, and GT3 is a big class that races globally. Every continent, and countless different series. So it seems like it sounds like for what you're trying to do with the brand, like it might be a good fit. GT2 is mostly a gentleman racer class, but it'd be interesting to see an MC20 GT3 running against the 911s and the Ferrari 296s and Corvettes and others. One more thing related to motorsports, the hypercars. Peugeot is running the 9X8 in the World Endurance Championship. That formula is eligible here in North America in IMSA as part of GTP, but obviously Peugeot is not a brand that's present here. Do you see any potential for taking that platform, rebranding it, say, as a Maserati, and running it in IMSA?
Yeah, I mean, I can't provide an opinion on that. I don't have any influence.
Well, I guess would you see, if you could do that, would you see that as something that could be beneficial to the Maserati brand? Be in the top class of something like that?
I guess I'll answer it this way. We think that any association that helps elevate our heritage in racing is a good one for Maserati, right? There are limits to what the amount that we can invest because we have the job to do bringing out this new showroom. We have returned to racing in a big way. We think we have. We're in our first year of it, right? With the vehicles that pay homage to some of the stuff in Europe, and with the Formula E, and I guess we have to see where we go.
Okay. Another question I just thought of, going back to electrification.
Yes.
You developed the new Tuno engine as a new internal combustion powertrain for your platform, for your lineup. On the electrification side, is Maserati also developing purpose-built electric propulsion systems, or is that more sharing of technology across the Stellantis group with other brands?
And Matt, you can follow up on this. I believe it's our technology. I mean, you need to follow up and just with GT because that's the first one. That's the one that we've announced. Absolutely. We will be coming out with a Grille full glory version end of year, first quarter of next year. But that's something. Please follow up if it's where that technology is shared.
Yeah, I'll get all that information to you.
Okay, thanks. Well, I think that covers most of what I wanted to talk about. I guess, is there anything else that we haven't discussed, about Maserati, either in North America or globally, that I think the listeners should be thinking about, about where the brand goes, over the next 5, 10, 15 years? Are there, you talked about SUVs, being the big growth area, but also, wanting to maintain a foothold in some of the traditional areas with the Gran Turismo, the MC20. Is there still a space in the Maserati lineup at some point, if you continue to grow it, for maybe the return of a sedan or something like a sedan? Or a different form factor entirely?
Our growth will be in segments where we have the best opportunity to capitalize on what Maserati stands for. We are not going to proliferate into every segment, right? We're not going to be head-to-head with a specific competitor that might be a lot bigger than us. We are not for everyone. We have done a great job of stabilizing and transforming this business, going from a loss position to a positive position. Last year, our top-line revenues were up 40%. We grew our profitability over 200%. We became the largest contributor to the global Stellantis picture in terms of those metrics. We have an all-new showroom. And so the challenge we have, and it's a good one, is with all this product coming out, how do you give each one the proper runway and proper attention so you generate awareness, people know what you've got before you move on to the next one? And it's not coming out in space of years, it's coming out in space of quarters. And that's a function of having this tie to Stellantis, which has a much broader resource pool than we would have at Maserati if we were standalone, go alone, right? So it's a good problem to have. It's a significant investment. It's a significant transformation. We've been in a place now. We have right now 6 vehicles in our lineup, right? With the return of the Gran Turismo and Grille. Grille's been in the marketplace in the U.S., in Canada, in Latin America for less than 4 months, right? We got the car right at the end of the year. We had it across our network in the U.S. Effective March 1st because of the logistical issues getting cars from Italy out to the West Coast, which is natural. And we've only had 45 days of clean air. In that time, though, we've done a couple things with Grille. Number one, it's become the sales leader overnight, right? It outsells the rest of the portfolio. And number two, it has generated a opportunity for us to conquest at a much higher rate than even we projected. In the first few months through the end of March, we're conquesting at something like 80%, which is significant. That there's your opportunity, right? We only have a finite number of customers from our history of selling cars, units, and operation. So the fact that we are going and conquesting this vehicle 80%, I think is proof positive. We think is proof positive that we're on the right track with the right product in the right segment, in the right with the right positioning. There's only upside from there, right? But then we amplify it, we bring back an icon. We think the company is known for GT, right? People know what a GT is, right? It is if the MC20 is the halo, the Gran Turismo is our icon. People know what it is. So bringing that back with the flexible powertrains, with the performance that we're able to offer, is more opportunity for us. That segment is actually bigger than the Ghibli segment, and it has been for 8 years. The Gran Turismo, which you wouldn't think, and we're the largest market for Gran Turismo, and California is the largest single state for Gran Turismo. So there's a lot of opportunity with that car.
For those 80% conquest buyers for Collie, where are they coming from?
All over. I mean, they're all premium and luxury brands. Yeah, they're coming from everywhere. It's a big segment.
All right. Any final thoughts you want to share?
No, I guess, I I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, we are, this is part of our objective to get the word out about Maserati and let people know that, we are different than where we were even 12 short months ago. In my 2.5 years here, I've seen a massive transformation. We want to make sure that the public knows, the media knows that transmission, we talked about it for a long time. It's here, and it's proof positive by what you see out there.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, right? This season on Compiler, we're diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. Join us for a new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.